Good evening, Facebook, and welcome to Deep Conversations and Transformations. My name is Lynette, and my intention behind these interviews is that everyone involved positively transforms. Tonight, I am joined by Ash Dey. Ash is the founder of Openmind Well-being. Just coming on, this is happening really quick. That's good. We're slick. Ash and I met a couple of months ago. Sorry. Hi, Ash. How are you there?
Hi Lynette, yes, I'm here. How are you?
Amazing. The sound is working. We're ready to go. That was simple. How are you
Oh,
tonight?
I am buzzing. I'm ready for this. I've been excited for this for the last hour or two.
Yeah, good. Good. So, Ash, let's first of all welcome you on. Thank you so much to agreeing to this because we connected just a couple of months ago. And in your bio, you shared a little bit about your story. So I'd love to take you back to 2016 when you had your first anxiety attack. Can you share with us what happened and anything you want to share on that?
yeah, so my background actually, my background was in technology consulting. But prior to that, it was technology delivery. And with delivery roles, you have routine and structure to your day. It's very much you're in one place, delivering and serving a customer. With that, though, I also had routine in my own well-being in my own life. So I was very much before work, go to the yoga studio. After work, go to a spin or a HIIT class or a yoga class, and that was my day essentially for a few years. And then I transitioned jobs and moved into consulting. And with consulting, the hours just are so much different. You start
Mm.
earlier, you finish later, you might be in a different location. And as a result, my routines just went out the window. And very quickly, I just started sacrificing my well-being habits to do stuff, whether that was
Mm.
work or whether that was seeing friends. And I just prioritized doing all those other things over the things that I knew that would help my own well-being. And it slowly led to having an anxiety attack. The very first one, I remember it very well in 2016. I just didn't know what it was at first. Then I put a label and a name on it, and then okay, I realised what I was having, and I knew I had to do something about it. I spoke to one other friend who was also in delivery and had just transitioned into consulting, and it was interesting because he was going through a similar thing as I was, but not like it is today. The conversation around talking about how you're feeling, mental health, it wasn't as open back then. And
Mm.
there's still some taboo still around it today, but it's just all about smashing that stigma. But we both talked at that time to each other, which helped. I then found another friend at work who we just around let's creating a yoga community in the workplace. One that's a bit different to a normal yoga community though. Our community was going to be on site in the workplace, but also virtual. So how do we create a yoga class that supports employees like me who might not always be in the office, or I might be on a customer site on the other side of the country, or I just wanted something flexible to work around at my diary as a consultant, slightly selfishly.
Yeah.
So what I did back in 2016 was create a yoga community like many workplaces have done today. Me and my good friend Eleni. That community over 2 years grew to about 550 employees taking part on a very frequent basis, where we deliver
Wow.
sessions in the office as well as
Yep.
virtually over Skype to home-based and remote-based employees. Um,
That-
and yeah, that was
That's incredible.
essentially the journey before I even realised the concept of open mind. But that was where the starting point of just realising things need to change about how we can support each other and support each other through communities. That's one thing we inadvertently saw when we built that interest group in the workplace, was that community. People were coming from all sides of the business, who may not even have met in everyday life, but they were all like-minded. They were coming here for a purpose, and we started hanging out socially as well. So it was really nice.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. So you went from like creating this community of, yogis coming together in the workplace, and how did that then lead on to creating Open Mind Wellbeing? And tell us what Open Mind Wellbeing is.
Oh yes, that would help. um, So while I was still doing my day job, and the running of the community was a side of desk activity. It was just something I did when I had time to do the administration. Actually, when that community grew and we were doing over 100 classes a year easily in the workplace, there was a considerable amount of administration that goes behind it. So one was, yes, we want to do all of these sessions and we've somehow managed to get budget from somewhere to do them, was where do you find teachers who are vetted, qualified, insured, who have availability to come into the workplace to deliver sessions? How did we go about the administration? So booking and scheduling with a teacher, then creating marketing material, and then once we've got all of that, how do employees book onto sessions? So we went through a process of using various booking systems, which was fun, but very time consuming.
Yeah.
And then finally, the question we got back from the leadership was, what's the value? If you want more budget to do this, you've got to demonstrate there's actually a value. In the business world, we tend to say, what's the return on investment, the ROI?
Yeah.
And when we come to Openmind, we slightly look at that in a different context, which we'll come on to in a moment. So taking all those problem statements around finding teachers and providing that assurance, the administration and reporting, we created Openmind, which does three things fundamentally. So last July was when I left consulting full-time and started with a pen and paper sketching out what Openmind's going to be. And I thought, there's going to be us in the middle, and our purpose is to facilitate community, is to connect. We have our employees on one side, our employers, and then we have a pool of well-being professionals. And it's how we go and join all these dots together. So after many PowerPoint presentations and pens of paper just to visualize what that's going to look like, we came up with this model. Number one, we help connect workplaces across the country to local vetted wellbeing professionals, starting with yoga, meditation, mindfulness teachers. Secondly, we administer the end-to-end through a digital platform we've purposely built with the help of yoga teachers, mindfulness and meditation teachers, as well as workplaces, as well as employees. So we've really listened to all of our user groups and said, what do you want? How do you want this platform? How do you want Openmind to serve you? And that's essentially what we've started building. And then finally, so we've connected, we've administrated in a digital platform by listening to everyone. And then finally, we measure and report on the impact it's having on employee wellbeing over a period of time. So rather than looking at ROI, which is quite hard to do, actually, we start looking at the value of investment, that VOI.
Amazing.
And from that, we look at everything from, we look at data, and data is the currency of this century, essentially, but we look at it from a very human lens. One, looking at the uptake, the engagement, and the data workplace is interested in. What am I getting for my investment into this? Secondly, we look at the motivations why people and individuals are coming to our sessions in the first place. And I can tell you all sorts of stats on this. Like for some of our workplaces, we're seeing like 73% of the employees are coming because they feel de-stressed. They're coming to de-stress, while a percentage are coming as well for convenience and easy access at work. We see some employees coming who it's their very first time trying yoga or meditation. And I say some, in some of these workplaces we're working with, it's up to 50-60%. It's their very first time trying, so we're a gateway.
Wow.
And it's that stuff that really gets me going.
Yeah.
Because I remember the very first time I started practicing, and I saw how it changed my life. And just by being a gateway to others, which isn't necessarily an app, it isn't going to a studio, but it's just something that's come to them and it's easy for them to dip in and out of, was key. There was one other point I was going to mention there, and it's just completely floated away.
It'll come back. It's amazing. It's amazing what you're doing. And, you know, I've been on the website and used it, and it's very user friendly, and it's great because as a teacher, you're able to write in like how the session went for you and how, you know, it's amazing.
But that's exactly, because that's how we met, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's how we met.
Coming to deliver some sessions in Scotland for us. So I'm based in London, and we've been getting requests all across the UK, as you know. And it's when we get a request in in outside of London, and most of our sessions are actually outside of London. We go and find local teachers to try and deliver them, because it's all about building local communities. So I think that's a good actual tangent to talk about what we stand for. So we
Yeah,
might
what do you stand for? Tell me.
well, we built this platform which connects administrate reports. We're not just a technology platform. We're a service, a community, and that's our very first value is building community. We're community first. Are we supporting the facilitation of communities in the workplace? For too long, when talking about workplace well-being, community and the social aspect is always missed out. And I think it's time to come back to that. So are we facilitating community in the workplace? Secondly, are we supporting the well-being professional community as a whole? Because without you guys, we don't exist. Who looks after the well-being professionals? So we had Alice join our team this week, and her role is community, supporting the well-being community professionals, and it's her job to now talk to all of you as professionals to see how we can better support you. Our second value is all around accessibility. How do we make these practices, these tools, accessible to everyone, whether you work in the private sector, whether you work in the public or the non-profit sector, whether you're home-based, remote-based, office-based, whether you're working in full-time employment or whether you're a contractor or a freelancer. Accessibility is at the heart of it. And the other side of accessibility is all around affordability, which ties into sustainability. So when doing the research and talking to workplaces, yoga teachers, meditation teachers, price and rates always come into conversation. As a teacher and a practitioner, I'm sure you know, and you've got your own thoughts and feelings around rates and value around that at the moment. But it's how do we make it sustainable for both the workplace and for the teachers? How do we make it sustainable in the sense that we want to build sustained practices and communities in workplaces? Because transformation doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. And building habits takes time. So it's keeping that at the center of it, and not losing sight of accessibility. And the third value we stand by is, are we having a social impact? If we're not, we need to reevaluate. And coming from my tech background, but also from my practice, we talk about reflection and iterating continuously. So it's interesting how the scientific, the technology, the agile way of thinking mentality, and the more ancient practice of meditation and mindfulness and the actual philosophies behind that come together, and it always talks about reflection. I'm going to pause there because I could probably natter on all day about this, as you can probably tell.
So, no, I love it. And, you know, what is at this point where you're sat, what is the future vision for Openmind? Like, what would be the sort of legacy that you want that to create? Yeah,
so it's been, so as you could, as I just probably said, we just had our first birthday in August.
Yes, I've seen that.
So and that's the birthday from registering Openmind as a formal company to that date. But we didn't actually go live till April this year. So we've only been live for 5 months or so.
Wow. Yeah, baby.
We're a real baby. But in that time, we're supporting so many amazing clients and customers, and over 1,000 or so employees across the country. So we've really seen a demand for this. But by listening to customers, I talk about reflection and listening to customers a lot, mainly because as a tech startup, when you've got this vision back in July, when I was scribbling down what Openmind is going to be, that was a lot of assumptions and talking, and we hadn't actually started delivering.
Yeah.
Now we've started delivering, we've listened back and we've started, okay, actually, yoga, meditation, mindfulness, we're only seeing, at the moment, it's serving between 8 and 15% of workplaces. What about the other 92% of the workplace? So this is where our next pivot in terms of our solution is, let's support workplaces fuller. By that, I mean, we've got yoga, meditation, mindfulness, but some workplaces aren't ready for that, or don't need that, or it's not right for them at this moment in time, they might want to do art therapy. They might want to have some more awareness-based sessions on resilience and stress. They might want to do mental health first aid or mental health awareness. They might want to do ceremonial tea making. And all of these concepts and ideas and initiatives for me all come back to one term, which is mindful-based initiatives. How do you bring individuals out of their everyday context to focus on something and be present? And that will have some of the same benefits as doing a meditation class.
Yeah, definitely.
So our vision for Open Mind is essentially to be that single place for a workplace to go to solve their wellbeing needs, while we administrate and report off the back of it. Our vision as part of the community is to be that place, that community to support wellbeing practitioners themselves. Because without you guys, as I said, we don't exist. And our team, there's 4 of us in the team at the moment. Gabby, Alice, and Mark, they're all practitioners themselves, and they understand the challenges as practitioners as you have. And it's all about how do we create this community for ourselves, our workplace culture, but as our bigger family, how do we support everyone? So that's one part of our vision. Our vision's quite broad, and this is where, as a startup, we start on focusing on the core things. So we started yoga, meditation, mindfulness. Next pivot is to focus on building the wider service catalogue of offerings. And then in the future, and this is in the distant future, is to start looking at how can we support social prescribing? How can we support individuals? We built this platform, which has a huge database of vetted professionals across the country. How can we help better serve local communities? I won't say too much more on the vision because it goes on and on and on, and I could go into infinite detail.
Yeah.
It's about wrapping it in and just doing bit by bit and getting good at each bit before we move on to the next bit. So
that's incredible. And I love that you really listen to the people that you're serving. And that was really apparent in the sort of feedback that I was to give after I'd served, a workplace. I thought that was brilliant. It's so professional. So it's amazing what you're up to.
There's I'm really excited about what we've got in store for as a wellbeing professional, as you use the platform to register, to see what session was booked for you, all of that kind of stuff. That's only going to get better in terms of when feedback comes through, you'll be able to see it in your dashboard. You'll be able to quick share it however you want to on social media. You could have there's a potential of having an interface of yourself with the employee asking questions, because again, with all these practices, and this is the difference between apps versus live sessions, is you have the opportunity to be curious and ask questions. And that's the difference with building communities. You've got a support system, you can ask questions.
That's amazing. Well done, Ash. So we had, I asked my audience for some questions, and some questions came through, and one of them was, what are your 3 tips for someone who's just starting to practice meditation or mindfulness?
This is where there's so much good advice out there, and I think it's very personal. For me, I've seen meditation as one of the best biohacks, and I'm sure you're very familiar with biohacking, but it's just micro things you can change to change how you think, how your biology is. But for me, number 1 is finding the right space, and that's not. I'm not saying you need to find somewhere comfortable to sit, a quiet place, it's calm. I think it's individual to each of us. For me, I actually started meditating firstly by doing yoga, like many people do. But then the meditations I feel most connected to have been when I've been running. So a couple of years back, I used to do a lot more long distance running. Ultra marathons, 33 miles on a weekend. Wow. But while running out in nature and just being with your breath have been the best times I've found, where I've been able to connect, focus, be really aware of my thoughts, feelings, emotions, and I've had some of the best ideas from that. I remember on one of my runs, I remember creating, I don't know why I'm telling this, but oh well. I remember creating lots of audio files of just thoughts and ideas that came to mind. And essentially, it was just a short audio book of audio files. I've not listened back to it, actually. I'm going to have to dig that out at some point.
There might be a few business ideas in there.
So that's number one. I think finding a space right for you. It doesn't have to be a formal sit down. And I think it's important that there's opportunities to find a meditation, whether it's sitting down and doing, whether it's running, or as I touched on earlier, doing mindful practices, whether that is knitting or embroidery or cookery. So that's number one. Number two, I'm a big fan of, and this is personally for me as well, bolting things onto existing routines and habits.
Yeah.
So my partner's in the other room, but one of the things she knows is my sacred time in the day is when I'm in the bathroom, brushing my teeth and having a shower. So brushing my teeth, it's, have you come across the five senses? It's a very simple meditation where you just go through your five senses when you're brushing your teeth. Because when you brush your teeth, that's 2 minutes of protected time in the morning and the evening, and you just go through the motions of brushing your teeth. What's the sound you're hearing? What are you tasting? What are you feeling? What are you hearing? And just being really aware of it.
Yeah, I like doing that one with chocolate.
Yes.
With a bar of chocolate, and I tell my son to go in the other room. And it's the taste and the smell, how it feels.
I think the chocolate meditation or using a group is fantastic, mainly because it introduces meditation in a way to those who have never experienced it and experience it straight away, because everyone has had a piece of chocolate, but have you experienced a piece of chocolate fully? It's a lot of fun in workshops,
Sorry, I cut you off there when you were telling us about the toothpaste, the toothbrushing. I love that idea though, because we do have that sacred 2 minutes, and if we can just mindfully brush our teeth, like there is a little meditation to start with.
You're going to be doing that tonight now, aren't you?
Yeah, click the like button if you're going to brush your teeth mindfully tonight, bringing all the senses.
And what's the third one? That's the point. So my third tip would be go and do a live class, because I've used apps. I think they're amazing for building awareness, learning the basics, learning the techniques. But there's so many different meditation techniques out there, and for more than anything, it's important to ask questions and be curious. And if you haven't got the right person, or an app is very much one way, so having a person to bounce ideas or thoughts off about how you're feeling and what you're going through can help tailor or find the right meditation practice for you. Yeah,
it's nice doing it in a group as well. You kind of go a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
I feel like all our hearts start connecting and beating as one when we're in a group.
So, I completely agree. And this is where, so Mark, who's in our team, he's a mindfulness teacher. But before I brought Mark on, I'd actually been in one of his sessions, in a group session. So he knew me very well, and I knew him very well. And it's just like, it made sense to ask Mark to come and join us.
That's cool. Somebody else asked about the meditation. It was, how do you get motivated to meditate every day, if you do it every day? Or how do you just get motivated to meditate?
I think, well, I personally don't meditate every day. I don't have a very formal practice. Be it hand on heart, there's no formal practice at the moment. But what I do is I'm very good at during the day, if I need a moment away, or if either a thought or feeling, or there's too much happening or being overcome, I take a few moments out, take a few deep breaths, go for a walk. Because that's how I bring myself to being grounded again. So my formal practices normally take the part of going to a yoga studio, doing a class, and then staying at the end to do a meditation by myself.
Yeah, good.
I say that, and I've just registered to do an urban retreat, which is a daily practice at the Buddhist Centre. So
amazing. Yes. So what would you say is your most important habit then?
So it's not daily practice of meditation, as I've just said,
Yeah.
or even a daily yoga practice. It's very much having a very positive and gratitude-filled outlook on life. Um, yeah, there's always this. Yeah, I think that's the habit I carry with me every day because there's always something to be grateful for. I used to do some journaling around gratitude practices, and sometimes I come back to it, but more often than not, it's just being really aware of things in the day and just acknowledging them.
Amazing. So really
Yeah,
focusing on what's great about stuff and being grateful in that moment.
yeah, and it's sometimes the littlest things. It's um, for me actually. This is I am while I don't deliver sessions myself,
Mm.
and I am basically what's I've forgotten what the in Wizard of Oz. I'm the magician behind the wizard behind the curtain. Um, I, that's a great analogy, actually.
Yeah.
So I don't actually go out and deliver sessions myself. So the bits of feedback I see is where yourselves as teachers write feedback, or where employees are sending feedback in via Openmind, and they come through to me, and I see them, and I can see I've changed someone's life today. I've made a difference today, and
Amazing.
it's those reminders that keep me going. Yeah,
Yeah, it's nice. Nice to know that you're making an impact, right?
yeah.
And up until this point, like what's been your most important lesson?
And my important man, that's
Just in life. It could be about the business or
no,
just in
it's
life.
yeah, and this is back to um, being a tech startup in London. Well, it doesn't really matter where I am, but being a tech startup, the attitude to failure.
Mm.
It's I don't really believe in failures as such. It's very much what can you learn from it. So
Yeah.
in terms of lessons, there's been loads of lessons learned out there in my career, lots of mistakes made, but I only see things as opportunities to learn. So yeah, I'd go with that really.
That's amazing. One of my mentors said it's not failure, it's feedback.
Yeah,
So when you say you've got a goal and you create an action, and if that action, fails, if you call it failure, then it doesn't mean that you can't have the goal. You just take another action. But
exactly.
sometimes as human beings, we get so caught up in really believing that we failed that we don't want to try again because we feel we look stupid.
Ex-
But we
ex-
just have to keep pushing forward.
And that's so true. And I think anyone who starts out on a venture of their own knows that the very first product you probably release, it's not going to be perfect. It never will be perfect.
No.
We've had feedback with Open Mind saying it's a bit clunky here, here, and here. It'd be great if it does this. Blah, 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 blah. It doesn't quite do this. But they're all opportunities to learn, and we put it
Yeah,
into our roadmap, and this is part of our future. Um,
exactly.
yeah.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, I think throughout life, and especially over the last 10 years, from going from a degree doing chemistry to jumping into tech straight after, and then spending most significant years of my career in technology and serving others, technology solutions and consulting and advising. There's been lots of opportunities and mistakes made, and it's life. You learn, you live and learn. You make mistakes, it's natural. And now with Open Mind, it's just the whole ethos around just we build, we listen, we improve, and just constantly reiterate
Yeah.
and reflect.
And so, well, let's reflect back on your life. Like, what are you most proud of so
Oh,
far of yourself?
this is such a tough question, mainly because
I know nobody likes this question, but I'm like, come on, be proud of yourself. Breathe pride into your heart and tell me what you're proud of. Get out
um,
there.
so I'm quite a goal-driven, outcome-focused individual,
Mm-hmm.
and when I moved to London all those years ago, not that many years ago, but all those years ago, um, every year I kind of set a goal. So one year it was um, start running ultra marathons, and one year
Yeah.
it was all about service and supporting, and I started mentoring, and it varies. So I don't have one proud moment, but I think the most recent proudest moment I have is the first year with Openmind. It's going from the security of a full-time job, with the security of a full-time job, a set career, and then just saying, no, it's time to try something different, something that gives me purpose, and something that is more true to myself, which is all about giving service to others. And the traits one of the traits I acknowledge I am good at, and my teams who I've worked with in the past acknowledge I'm good at, is I'm very good at connecting people. I'm not necessarily always that good at detail, although I love detail. I'm okay at strategy, but I like building relationships and I like connecting people. So hence why the ethos of Openmind is very much community and relationships and connecting people.
Amazing. You're a connector. I love it. And we need connectors in life, right? To bring people together, to create those communities. So that's brilliant. So what would you love your legacy to be then?
Another tough question.
It's already started. It's already started, right?
and this is where I think, this was a few years ago, I came to that realization where I like service. I like serving others and supporting others. So my legacy and the legacy for Openmind is to be there to serve others and help them be their best selves, essentially.
Yeah, amazing.
I remember writing that on the very first.
Oh, you've jammed. Oh, are you there?
I was just saying, I remember the very first PowerPoint deck of Openmind I created, and it was very much helping others be their best selves. And it ties back to the value of legacy around service and helping people and supporting others to be their best self, whatever that may be.
That's beautiful. Yeah, and it's already started. You're making an impact. You're leaving your legacy, as we all are. But when we get really intentional with what we want to create and, really feel into our purpose, just magic happens, right?
Yeah. What's your purpose? What's your legacy? Do you have you thought about yours yet, Lynette?
So my purpose, I believe, is to help to create world peace. And I believe we do that one person at a time, really one mind at a time, helping people to create inner peace. And, for me, for a long time, I had a lot of inner conflict, and I found inner peace within myself. And it's something that obviously you have to work on daily. Yeah. So with my coaching and the classes that I do, it's just great to be able to hold that space for people to find their own inner peace. The legacy, I hope, is that, every single day I inspire people to really connect to their truth, to their purpose, to themselves, and know that it's okay and that they are enough, really.
I love that. Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah. So that's how it feels just now. But, before we sort of wrap tonight up, I'd love for you to share, do you have any sort of books, your favorite books or podcasts, any juice that you like to listen to or really read on?
Yeah. So since going live with Openmind, my reading and my book pile has stopped. But
you've been busy.
I've been a little bit busy, but my podcasts, I do listen to a few. For the last few years, for the last few years I've been following Jay Shetty and what his work, and I still listen to his On Purpose since he lost that podcast, just because I like his outlooks and the guests he brings on there. There's a variety of other podcasts, but escape the mind for a moment.
I know, when I ask on the spot questions, you're like, oh God, and then you'll remember afterwards thinking, sugar, I should have put that in there.
In terms of books, though, there's a couple actually, and this comes back to the whole attitude on failure. One was Black Box Thinking by Matthew Said, and I remember reading that a few years ago, and it's back to that attitude about failure. It's about learning from mistakes, and it compares how back then the aviation industry compared itself to the medical sector. And with the aviation industry, they have these black boxes which collects data on everything, and it's all about how do you learn from those mistakes and those failures.
That's cool. See, afterwards, when I post this video, would you write that in the comments?
I shall do.
Because I think that's a book I'd love to check out. And was there another one you were going to share there?
Um, the I think for me there were two books I read just actually before starting Open Mind. One was rereading Matthew Syed's Black Box Thinking, and the other was Simon Sinek's Start with Why.
Oh, yes.
I
Read your
think
why, eh?
yeah, exactly.
Read your why to push through so that when you do have those days that you don't want to take action or you're creating stories around the action that you've taken, then the why is so big that you just keep pushing forward.
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing.
It's everything you do.
Yeah. Is there anything else you'd love to share with the audience before we wrap this up, Ash?
I think just be open-minded to your well-being, and feel free to check us out. Feel free to check openmindwellbeing.com out and let us know what you think. If you're in a workplace or have responsibility in a workplace, come and have a chat with us, because we think we can support you and make your lives easier.
That's amazing. Yeah, so also share your links in the comments so that people can just click on that link. And you know, there may be people out there watching that are like in a workplace that maybe is stressed right now, right? And you are the answer. You're the solution to the stress.
Part of the solution.
Part of the solution. Sorry, I'm like putting it too much out there. But yeah, part of the solution, right? Because I'm sure if we can get you in more workplaces, then, you know, there'll be a huge positive impact and ripple effect.
And completely agree. And this is where I think being part of the solution, this is where we're part of building a wider ecosystem, a community of wellbeing providers, professionals, workplaces, and it's all about back to learning from each other. So like yourself, Lynette, you're very much part of that community. As you know, as you've delivered some of us a session for us up in Scotland, hopefully many more in the future.
Yes, it's been a pleasure having you on, Ash. Keep connected and keep doing this amazing work, because, you know, I'm a cheerleader for it. It's great.
Thank you so much for having me and letting me share my story with your audience as well, Lynette.
Yeah, and maybe in a year's time we can connect again and you can tell us how much you've grown, expanded and evolved. Yeah,
I really would love to, mainly because I couldn't really say where we're going to be in a year's time. It's hard to say, hard to think back to a year ago where it's still just an idea, and how far we've come in a year. And now we've got a team of 4 and a wide community of professionals. So we'll see.
That's amazing. You know, for anyone out there, if you've got an idea, just go with it, eh?
Yeah, give it a go. Just start testing it and trying it early, and start doing it as a side hustle. So like with me, I started building the community and testing the ideas when I was in the workplace, and we grew that community. And this was before I even knew I was going to do a startup. This was just an idea, and it was helping myself and helping others. Just to start.
Just start. Just do it, as Nick would say. Okay, so thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great evening, and thank you to everyone who joined us tonight. See you soon.
Have a lovely evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.